Hello, my dear listeners. This is Astrid from Spiritual Alchemy Show. I'm hoping everything is working fine and sound. Let me just log in on the Power X Radio chat so I can say hello there. So I'm really hoping you are all hearing me fine and great as always, and you're going to enjoy today's show. So this show is on a topic that I was kind of mentioning it on Facebook, that I've done a show on this topic a long time ago, and it was very popular, and I believe that this show actually is not in the archive. This is one of the first shows I've done, and it's kind of lost in the history. So I decided to kind of redo the show because it's a topic that is widely discussed, lots of people are interested in it. And that is meditation. Meditation is very interesting, and it's basically basic of any spiritual or occult or hermetic development. So I thought it deserves a show on its own while I'm kind of talking about it. Before I go in the whole meditation situation, let me invite you to my actually new website. I decided to open a new website which is called the Lunar Lodge, oneword.com, where you can find the archive of the show, and also I'm posting there like articles and all sorts of other things. And I also changed the Facebook page of this show. So instead of Spiritual Alchemy Show, the new link or the new Facebook fan page is the Lunar Lodge. It's a fun page, not a group. And if you add yourself to that on that fan page, or if you like that fan page, I'm going to keep you updated about the shows, like when they are going to be uploaded in the archive, or so you can kind of keep update with actually what the shows that are happening. So I would definitely recommend to find the Lunar Lodge Facebook page on Facebook and add it, so you can just keep being updated about this show. So that's kind of the news about the things that have been kind of happening this week, and I'm going to go in the topic of meditation. So meditation is really funny thing, because on the one hand it's overrated, and on the other hand is underrated. And if you're thinking like, oh my God, how something actually can be overrated and underrated at the same time? Easily, and I'm going to go through it basically the whole show today. As I mentioned already, meditation is usually the first step in any spiritual development. If you would like to go in maybe secret society lodge, or if you would like to start some sort of training within the magic, sorcery, or hermetism, usually the first exercises would be around meditation or something around along those lines. But most of them, it does include them in the initial step. The reason for it is very good one, because first of all we need to clear our mind or silence our mind before we are able to actually perform it. In many cases, the true reason for our spiritual development is to turn our own body, our mind, our solar and lunar mind into a sharp light object that is just cutting through all the obstacles, cutting through all the clutter, and is performing exactly how we need it or want it to perform, being under control and being, and I would say, in a constant and controlled movement. So that's when meditations come in handy. It's a training. It's a training our will. It's a training our discipline. It's a training our own mind to work according to our wishes and wills. That's usually also the first step that loads of people actually are having problems with, because meditation and having a regular practice is something that causes a problem. Loads of people, especially nowadays when we are constantly, our minds are flooded with the technology clutter. It's literally making our minds just filled with this stuff, and and obviously it's making us stressed and anxious, and lots of people are getting anxious, and lots of people are impatient, and it's damaging people's relationships. It's impatience, because obviously relationships doesn't work on such a high speed as we are used to for our internet communications. And that's one of the many reasons why meditation can be, or definitely should be, also useful even for people nowadays who are not necessarily interested in pursuing a spiritual metaphysical paths. It's great for people that live their everyday lives. And in the past, and I've actually done a special show that was on the topic of mental hygiene. That is actually, I believe, on the archive if you scroll down long enough. And that show was about if people actually do clean their body every day, yet they don't worry or they don't care about clearing their mind, which in our modern society throughout the day definitely does come in contact with even more, I would say, clutter or mess in our bodies. That's something that lots of people are underestimating, and definitely sensing with many people, or maybe in the whole generation nowadays, symptoms of mental clutter and some sort of like a mental overload, which is usually anxiety and anger and just this addictions to drama and addictions to conflict. So obviously all of those things could be easily sorted out with regular meditation practices. Nowadays it's easier in a way that the information that people need to start that practice are widely available on the internet. On the other hand, it's even harder nowadays than it was before because all distractions that we are constantly having. Definitely something that is going to sound pretty obvious, but however, from my experience, it's not as obvious as it might sound, and that is just don't be on your phone when you're meditating. I'm surprised when I'm going on my gym classes how people can't even go for an hour gym class without their phones. Like, and I don't believe that, like, oh, my baby, my work. No, it's like 7 in the evening, like, you don't have to be on the phone for 1 hour. And it seems to me like the addiction to that technology, addiction to, I would say, some sort of impulse, it's definitely getting rampant, and it's not doing good things within our mind. So definitely I believe that's the future, where people will realize the full extent of how much this is a problem, and they will come back to mobile phone and technology detoxes, and they will pay like loads of money to get some sort of like technology addicts anonymous and just get detached from their phone. And it's something that I am experiencing from many people, that they actually tell me, hey, I have a problem. Like, I seriously have a problem. Sometimes I'm basically addicted to my phone, and I just can't stop watching it. And that's also the things that meditation can also help. So that's the reasons why I think meditation is important for people who are occultists, but also why is it important for general public, for anybody who is functioning in this society, or just even thinking about taking part of this in this society. So if I said that I'm going to open my file, what is happening through meditation, and what actually meditation is. I do believe that, as I mentioned already, meditation is heavily overrated and underrated at the same time. But I would say in a great deal, it's actually very misunderstood what it actually is. Loads of people believe, and if you actually try to find out on the internet what actually meditation is, most of those explanations would be it's the emptying of your mind. However, meditation truly is not about emptiness. Emptiness itself does not exist. Emptiness is a human concept that comes from misunderstanding of that emptiness, or just not being able to see what is within that empty space. Emptiness is purely a human concept. So if meditation is not emptiness, it's not emptying of our mind, what is it then? Meditation is not emptying the mind. The meditation is silencing the mind. Meditation is about silence. We are silencing our conscious mind or our solar mind, but that doesn't mean that our lunar mind, that means our subconscious and our unconscious, is not working. Even throughout the meditation, our stomach is still working, we are still breathing, and also our heart is still beating. So that means that unconscious and subconscious processes our body, unless we decide to consciously suppress them, are being untouched by the meditational process. That means with meditation we are silencing our solar mind. Obviously, there is a connection between our solar and lunar mind. The whole idea of alchemical wedding, or a connection of a man and female principle, works within our mind as well. Our solar or conscious mind is in a connection with our lunar subconscious or unconscious mind. More about that link I'm going to talk about a bit later, but I'm going to talk about what's the difference between a trance state and meditation. As a two states of mind that are very similar, however, they are different, even though they can actually sometimes fluently come from one to another and then just flows back into the first one. So now we do know that we do have a solar mind that's conscious and a lunar mind that's unconscious and subconscious. When we are meditating, the solar mind is silenced, and we are giving more space to the lunar mind to take over our life, our energy. In that way, it is slightly similar to sleep, where our conscious mind is falling asleep and our lunar mind is taking over and communicating with us its thoughts, its ideas, its problems, where it needs repairing, where it's fine, and how does it feel about the situation that was in the past, in the present, and situations yet to come. So the lunar times in our dreams is also very important to follow, but I made a show on that already about reading dreams. But meditation in that way is similar. It's giving big space to our lunar mind to take over. As a result, and of the silencing of the solar mind, we are also silencing some of the byproducts of solar mind, which can be a short attention span, which can be stress, which can be anger, which can be even anxiety. All of those things are usually products of the solar conscious mind, in which way it does react on our survival. Anxiety and stress are both surviving mechanisms that are part of our solar mind. However, in our current days, we are not threatened by mammoths and lions anymore for the most part, yet those surviving instincts still does seat in our conscious mind and in our society, in our current situation. They are not used in the correct way. We are not supposed to feel stress for more than 5 minutes. Stress or anxiety is something that you feel when you're supposed to feel as a human when you're looking at the bush and you don't know if there is a tiger or not. You find out there's a tiger within 5 minutes, usually with the tigers very quickly, and then you either run or being eaten. But you're not supposed to feel stress for a longer period of time. And that's, one more reason why meditation is actually so important. So those are all byproducts of solar mind, which is seeded of our survival instinct or survival thoughts and ideas. Some of them are, obviously, some of the lunar instincts are truly just an instinct that also are seeded in the lunar mind. But for simplifying for this show, let's focus on the ones that are in the solar mind. So We now do know that by silencing the solar mind and letting the lunar mind take over, the mind will naturally align itself. The lunar mind will take over and will naturally heal, calm down, and align the state of the solar mind. Why is it happening? Because we are connected to divinity through our lunar mind. Is a lunar mind that's connected to the divine forces, and divine forces always strive for balance. So if we connected our lunar mind to the solar mind that's silenced, now the lunar mind is taking over and balancing ourselves, because that's the natural effect it has. We can see the same effect usually when we go to sleep. After falling asleep, you know that waking up in the morning, you usually feel better. Your anxieties are getting better. Your stress levels are better. Obviously, that's only happening before there is a new wave of a stressful situation. But let's say when the situation is done, you've been in a stressful situation, there is no more stressful situation, you're stressed, or you're trying to calm down, you go sleep in the morning, you usually feel a little bit better because the lunar mind took over for a couple hours and it tried to align or balance the solar mind as it could, obviously unless straight in the morning, first thought in the morning, you've been again hit with a new situation. I would say for this particular process I was describing it, you can then, if you're interested, continue in working with that state further, or you can just stop and just let those things align, heal, calm down, and that might be just it for you. So I decided for this particular show to, obviously because people love practical stuff, to come up with some practical ideas. I'm going to start with fairly simple ones. I'm going to go through all these ideas for people who are having hard time to meditate, because obviously there is some FAQ about meditations, and at the end of the show, if somebody will be interested, I will be in the chat box. If you are not in the chat box on powerxradio.com/chat, please come again. Please come there, and you can, at the end of the show, you can ask me questions. Kat wrote, I'm going to unaddicted the next moron I see talking on their phones while driving, getting sick of nearly being hit because their call's more important than my life. That is definitely true. Our current times are having problems with goldfish attention spam. Actually, that does have astrological explanation, and that is that technologies and always, this is kind of off topic, but I think it's still kind of interesting, and it kind of is in the topic, so I'm going to go in it straight away. So basically our modern technologies are connected with the planet Mercury. Mercury is a planet that is that tend to be known for being connected with communication and also with the modern technology. And the thing is about Mercury as a planet is that it's very fast. It moves fairly fast. So usually all some sort of effects of Mercury or people of things, the situations connected to Mercury tend to be very fast paced. And that's the reason why if people are actually literally spending their whole day being immersed in the field of Mercurian energy, which is technology, communication, internet, that's all Mercurian energy. As a result of them, their attention span, like the Mercury energy, like the Mercury is spinning so quickly, is going to get significantly shortened. It's astrology, it's logic, and the way how they actually can balance it out is with grounding, or actually with trying to invoke or work with energies of the planets that are very slow paced. For example, Saturn. So that's one of the ways how you could eventually balance out that energy. Kat is asking, or could it be a control issue? Letting yourself being focused on something outside of the self seems like a lack of control. Absolutely. With the Mercury, things are spinning very fast. If the things are spinning fast, we are having very little control over it. If you're stir frying, you have lack control over it than if you are cooking something over 6 hours. So obviously the people are panicking because lack of control is something that's unpleasant for the ego. However, they can't help it because of the addiction to the fast Mercurian energies of the technology. That's where it's bringing them. So we are living in a very interesting times from this perspective, and I would say it's very important in this time, more than any time in the whole history of humankind, for people to have to incorporate meditation in their daily practice. Kat said, do you think some of us have too short an attention span to meditate? That is in the FAQ I'm going to talk about in like 2 minutes. But yes, but you know what? Short meditation span, it's not unchangeable or unreversible state. It's something that can be and should be trained. It's not something like just something that just happened and you just know there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm definitely always telling people, you know, impossible, it's non-existent. All boundaries are somewhat movable. It depends on what circumstances, how long is it going to take, and who is it going to take, and how much energy is going to take. But all limits are movable. So I'm going to start with slightly, going a bit more into actual mechanics of the meditation. So. Rule number 1, absolutely no phone, no distractions. Meditation posture. Usually people prefer lotus position because they've seen it on the pictures of Shiva and they think it's cool. But technically speaking, the lotus position or anything that you are relaxed can be even on a chair, can be sitting on a pillow. I would not recommend lying down because there is a good chance you're going to fall asleep. But standing is sometimes slightly a bit too unpleasant. So I would say anywhere between standing and lying, it's fine unless you're comfortable and you're sure you don't have muscle pains, because muscle pains can be a major distraction during the meditation, which is something you might not feel when you're doing meditation for a minute or two. But if you're going to do longer meditations, it's starting to hurt and it can just mess up the whole meditation routine. So definitely make sure that you're relaxed, you're feeling fine. If you need some pillows all around, get the pillows. So some people who are having hard time, and that's what we've been exactly talking about with Kat, the people who have short attention span for motivation, for meditation. Meditation will significantly improve your attention span. And people nowadays, we do need a better attention span. You need attention span for studying, you need attention span for working. If you want to achieve anything, most of the stuff won't be done within 20-second attention span. We need attention span for a couple hours to be truly able to achieve something great. So in that sense, meditation will always help with attention span. For people who are having hard time, especially if they have HD, I'm always having hard time to pronounce it. HD. You know what I'm talking about. Those people should have meditation as a doctor prescribed thing, because that is the only thing that's helping, either getting drugged or meditation on daily basis. So I would definitely recommend that. People who are having hard time to concentrate or just silence their mind at the beginning, I would say the good start is focusing on the fire of a candle. If you have just a candle in a silent room, all distractions are gone, all phones, everything is switched off, even music, just the silence, and just having a candle, and just concentrating, focusing on the fire of the candle. That's a technique that will help people who are having a short attention span and having a hard time to focus. Obviously, you can start with just a minute or two, and then just keep prolonging it, and just, I would say, tweaking it, and I would say making it advanced. So, yes, I said, focusing on the candle of a flame. That's technique number one for people having a hard time to meditate. Help number two would be exercise from Initiation into Hermetics from Franz Barden, and that is called observing of your thoughts. If you're having a hard time to empty your mind, the first step can be, but again, for some people the flame of the candle will do and it will be fine. Some people won't need that. For some people, this exercise would be easier. In this exercise, you're observing your thoughts. It's similar to meditation, but you're not trying to empty your mind or silence your mind. You're just sitting there and you're observing the thoughts that are coming. You are not trying to hold on to them. You just let them come and you just let them go. You will try to detach yourself from your thought stream. You're like trying to like step almost out of your mind body and just like almost looking at the stream of your thoughts from the outside, like they would be on cars on the highway, and you're just observing that highway without actually affecting it in any way. You can try to hold that for a minute or two or for longer, depending how you will feel about it. I would usually recommend starting with minute or two and then keep expanding it for a half a minute every single time you're meditating, or even less. You have to kind of adjust this to your own liking and to your own situation. But the truth is, it's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be stretching your comfort zone. It's supposed to be stretching your abilities. You are not supposed to feel comfortable in the situation. You're supposed to push your boundaries. If you want to be great, you need to push your boundaries. So this basically does fall on that. One of the things that I would say that if people are having hard time with the discipline, is that if people are having a hard time with discipline to meditate maybe 2 or 3 times a week, I'm sensing that, in this case, it's better if they do not go into the occult world, because discipline is something that's vitally important for that whole process, because you're not going to give a knife to somebody in their hand if you can't see. They not just don't know how to operate the knife, but they can't even hold their hand steady. Like they are having problems with operating their own hand, so you're not going to give knife in their hands. So that's exactly the same situation with discipline and occult. If somebody can't even hold a discipline for meditating for a couple minutes 3 times a week, they are not ready to follow that particular path, and they need to work on that before. Loads of people nowadays feel like, but discipline's annoying. It feels to me like past 20 years, we are not used to deal with discomfort. We don't like it. We hate it. But discomfort is something that needs to be overcome, something that is making us tough, something that's making us capable, something that's making us hardworking. Feeling discomfort and overcoming discomfort with the hard work is an extremely important tool, not just in meditation. When it comes to modern technology as well, I would like to point out that obviously recently there are all sorts of meditation apps. I'm not going to give any names, no names, but there is always like apps on the internet that like supposed to help you with the meditation, and kind of trying to make the meditation like being something bigger than it is. But what the problem I have with those apps, obviously if they help you, go for it, but listen to this first. With the meditation and meditational apps, the whole purpose of meditation and eventually of some sort of spiritual or metaphysical development that the meditation can be the start of is to regain your own power, regain your own godhood, making your own mind into a basically sharp tool that's 100% under control, and it's basically perfectly perfected machine. And turn whole your body, your physical body, your astral body, and mental body in a completely and fully transformed godlike energy and creature and manifestation. And while you're trying to regain your power and you're trying to transform your body, you would be relying on an app. You're giving your power away in the middle of a process where you're trying to regain it at the same time. So obviously using some sort of app, it's making you, and worse, making you dependable on that app. It's going completely against the purpose that you're trying to achieve. Not mentioning the fact that on top of it, you are obviously being concentrated on the app. So your focus is not being silenced, your mind is not getting silenced, your mind is getting, again, hooked on the app, which is one of the reasons to be unhooked from all of that, why you're starting with this process. So I would say when it comes to meditation, I would recommend going 100% analog. To kind of leave the phone switch off, not being afraid of silence. We are nowadays really afraid of silence, right? We don't like silence. You have to like switch on TV or just music or phone or just be looking at our phone. We don't like the silence. And being comfortable with the silence is something that's going to make you stronger than you think. Being aware of the silence, being comfortable with the silence, we truly have to be there, sitting there with ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why loads of people are having a hard time with meditation. Silence your conscious mind. When you silence all the distractions, you see or feel yourself the way that you are. And if we have some unhealed wounds, unresolved pains, and especially like the anxieties from today's world and the way how it functions, obviously now we have to face them. There is no distractions, there is no TV on, there is no phone off. We have to face ourselves, and that's something that is really hard, and especially nowadays, and will make people to actually stop meditating just so they don't have to face this particular stage of the whole process. But you know, there is no, if you wanna make a boat, you have to cut the trees. So there is everything in life comes with a price tag, and the fact we are with our new age, new technology, becoming less and less open to actually pay price tags for things, doesn't change the fact we do have to pay price tags for things. And with meditation, getting rid of the distractions and biting the bullet of discipline is definitely the price tag. So I would definitely recommend silence for meditation. For trance state, that's something different. I'm going to talk about a bit later on, but for meditation itself, don't be afraid of silence. Enjoy the silence. Immerse yourself in silence. Dissolve yourself in the silence. Dissolving yourself in the silence is one of the most powerful meditations / trance states you can do. No participation trophies, only hard work. One of the options that obviously you can also find online is a guided meditations, which technically speaking is not a meditation because you are not silencing your mind. You just basically, I would say, just jumping on somebody else's back with your mind, and just like giving your mind to somebody else. It's not that much of a difference between watching a movie and listening to the guided meditation in terms of the effect on your mind. So I'm not fond of let's say guided meditations unless it's an actual spell. If you have a spell in mind and you are using it for meditation, as a meditation spell, I would say go for it. Definitely, that's a great way how to do spells. But for meditation itself, guided meditation is not silencing anything. It's just replacing one clutter with another clutter, but just another clutter with a nice music in the background and soothing voice, but it doesn't change the fact that it's not what it's supposed to be, and that it's silencing on your solar mind. So one of the things I would also like to kind of talk about, and obviously it's very important, is breathing is out of breathing, on the breathing in and breathing out, and breathing in and breathing out. Breathing into meditation, there is a great technique that you can try in stressful situations where literally you don't have space to meditate. It's just like not suitable. There is no time and space for it, but you still feel very stressed. This particular exercise can help people who are trying to stop smoking. You do this technique. Hopefully it will decrease your need for cigarette in a stressful situation. So it's a very 5 breath technique. You simply just breathe in, count to 5, breathe out, count to 5. Breathe in, count to 5, breathe out, count to 5. And you're doing it 5 times. Let it take its time than you've been before. And in case you're a smoker, you know that those smoking situations, shaking hands, full of anxiety, that's one of the biggest triggers. It can actually help that calm down, and when with that situation, and you should be able to meditate between 5 to 10 minutes. There are many great things and exercises you can do. You can tweak it, you can upgrade the whole meditation situation, and get really great experiences out of it. Something I tried a few times, which is actually sounds harder than it is, and that is meditating for a good 30 minutes. I've done it a few times. I think one time actually I've done 1 hour, and that's like more I've ever done. But the 30 minutes exercise, it's great. It's absolutely awesome, and it gets you in like such a very beautiful spot, and your mind is just healed and calmed, and it's great, especially if somebody is like literally in the middle of emotional mental breakdown. Just try it, and just like try to meditate for extensive amount of time. It beautifully aligns the mind back to its place. So for that 30-minute meditation, is extremely important to be at a comfortable position. Like you have to have like either a blanket, or be sitting on a carpet, or just have pillows all over, because even something that seems or feels like a minor press, or like minor squeeze, or just like minor discomfort will become great discomfort over the 30 minutes. So I would definitely I would recommend trying that, even for people who are maybe just starting. I think once you're able to meditate to 5 to 10 minutes, I would say go for it. It's a challenge. Go for a challenge and try 30 minutes and see what will happen. Another thing that I would recommend for sure, and that is fairly advanced, but this is more going to apply for sorcerers or people who are training in an actual magic. For those you guys, the next step will be, after you are able to successfully meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, to form a will, form a wish, form a thought that you are going to form almost in a shape, or an energetic shape of a fiery arrow, and you're going to fire that arrow through that silenced emptiness of your mind. And even though I said emptiness is just illusionary, you're going to throw that fiery arrow through that silenced mind. That is exercise that's not easy, but requires already training in imagination. So if you're trying to, before you do that, you definitely have to do through some imagination exercises and clairvoyance exercises. But definitely it's a beautiful exercise that if you will master, you will be having increased success with evocations, and also with the spell work of basically any sort. Another more advanced meditation exercise would be a circle meditation. This sounds simple, but it's actually not. And it's exercise that will give something really interesting to beginners as well. But to truly get potential of this particular exercise, to truly get to what this exercise is about and what's offering, I would say it's going to give more to somebody who is already fairly advanced on their journey through Hermetism. So it's a meditation on a pure circle shape. And that is, you will just make a circle, you will sit yourself in a circle, and then you are concentrating just on the simple thought that within the circle that you are sitting in, it's a unity, it's singularity, is the truth, is the light, is the unity, singularity. And outside of that circle is the clutter, is the directed chaos of the material world. And you are sitting within that circle, within that unity that's in its perfect simplicity. You are sitting inside of it. This sounds fairly simple, but it's definitely not as simple as it sounds, and will definitely greatly benefit from it people who are already at a certain point in their spiritual development. Obviously, because we have to enter and we have to transform our body on physical, mental, and astral level. But we can also do other things with our meditation, which I would call more of being like kind of like circus stunts. That is not going to have a massive amount of actual impact on your spiritual development, but actually it's a cool thing to do, and that is meditating in the snow, meditating in a very cold environment, and trying to actually control your body temperature, or doing it in a very loud environment where you literally have to block out everybody else's. It's a good exercises in terms of training your will. It's a good exercises in terms of training your body. Your body has to be a tool that's listening to your mind and is being under control in that sense. But it's not going to, I'm assure you that this is not going to make anybody enlightened. It's just, I would say, exercises to train your body. But to enter the halls of a Medi, you have to the home. You have to have a trained body, astral and mental. So it's a cool thing. I would definitely recommend it, but I would say do not be hanged on it too much, and don't concentrate on this particular exercise too much, because it can get easily misleading. So we've been kind of talking about meditation, but what is the difference, let's say, between meditation and a trance state? When you are like shamans go in a trance state when they are healing, or with some of the magicians are using trance state spells. Meditation is the silencing of the solar mind, as I mentioned before. But in a trance state, we're moving our awareness into the lunar mind from the solar mind. So we are usually starting with meditation if we want to go into trance, and after our solar mind is silenced, and then we can get the awareness, raise it, and let it descend into the lunar mind, where it can either perform a spell, or get in touch with the underworld, or see a vision of a future, or see a vision of a past, or just go there to see some guidance visions. So in that sense, trance is different, because it's descending of the awareness into the lunar mind. For trance state, I would actually recommend music, especially some rhythmic drumming. Actually, I've done a show again like a year ago, or God knows when, on trance states and alternate states of consciousness. So I'm talking about a bit more in that particular show. But for trance states, I would recommend monotonous music like drumming, So really help that awareness to go on that rhythm, the rhythm of a heartbeat, the rhythm of a drum, which is the similar rhythm to the heartbeat, and your awareness got attached to that universal rhythm, singular rhythm, and that helps it like as a bridge to connect with the lunar mind. So with the transit, I would recommend music. If your aim is purely meditation, I would maybe not recommend that as such, and truly learn how to be comfortable with the silent. So the last 10 minutes, I promise I'm going to take some questions. So if you have any questions and you're listening, I would recommend to go on paraxradionetwork.com/chat. There's like a small, tiny tab that says chat now. So if you would like to, please come over and you can ask me questions. I'm going to respond to them straight away live if you would be interested. And in the meantime, before somebody asks anything, I would definitely invite you to my new website, thelunarlodge.com, and also like the Lunar Lodge website page on Facebook, so you can stay in touch with the news about the whole situation. Kat is asking, is meditation more like connecting with something outside the self or disconnecting from everything else? That's a brilliant question. I can definitely send that. Kat is a meditation professional, but this is absolutely a beautiful question. If you're asking me if meditation is more like connecting with something outside of yourself or disconnecting from everything else, I would say the answer is that meditation is connecting with something that is inside of yourself and is connected to everything else. So it's kind of synthesis of the both statements from your question. You are disconnecting from part of yourself, which is the solar mind, and you are connecting with something that's deep within yourself, that's connected to every single particle in this universe. So Kat is sending unhappy smiley and sending Zen. Was the first person I've ever heard who doesn't like Zen. So it's partially about Zen, but not completely. Some of these ideas are taken from that, but I have a certain. I think Zen got some bits right, but some bits right. I'm just like more leaning towards, I would say, other philosophies. But Sayona said, for it was more like connecting with something within the self. Yes, you are connecting with something within yourself, or in other words, it's always connected. The lunar mind, your subconscious and unconscious, is always connected. But most people are, their awareness is in the solar mind, so it's actually hard for them to see the connection or feel the connection or truly take a benefit of that connection. So when we are moving or clearing the awareness of the solar mind, then we can see what actually is there, and we are connecting with something within ourselves that's connected to everything. And we somehow, if the meditation is done right, if meditation is done correctly, it should definitely bring with it itself as a side effect or as a byproduct a feeling of borderlessness, like you do not feel the boundaries of your own body. They somewhat disappear, and you feel that your body is pretty much connected to everything else. You do have the strong sense of connection and lacking boundaries of your physical body. So if anybody has any more questions, please let me know. We still have 9 minutes, otherwise I'm just going to keep talking. Meditation is connecting with our divine self. That's one of the reasons why when we are meditating, it also brings very interesting shift in the personal values. We are obviously having in most cases, our values based on our solar mind, our solar thinking. Money is important, this is important, this is important, maybe achievements are important, and this is important, and that is important. And when we are meditating and we are getting in touch with something, as Sayona wrote perfectly, within ourselves, as a byproduct, our priorities can start slightly shifting. We might take love or good relationships with other people a bit higher in the rank than might have been for some people before, obviously, but not for everybody. Kat wrote, the way to find happiness is to climb a mountain and not think of a pink elephants. Technically speaking, that is true, because obviously the moment when you're not supposed to think about pink elephants, and your mind is so trained at that point that it does not think about them when you don't want it to think about, suggesting if you have such a great and strong training of your mind that you are actually able to do that, most likely you won't really have problems with achieving any other things that you set your mind on, because your mind is a perfectly trained tool that is perfectly designed to achieve what you want. And so most likely, if you really can do that, you're not going to have problems with achieving anything else. So in the way you can achieve happiness. So it's definitely, Zen is not explaining it that well as such, but I'm definitely sensing that there is something around that. Even when Kat is mentioning everything seems to be wrapped in riddles, well, meditation helps with that too. Meditation is getting us in touch with our lunar mind, which is instinctual, and the riddles, sometimes the answer to the riddles is purely instinctual. And if you give space to the lunar mind, the right answers can just start magically appearing in our head without us being able to trace where those thoughts are coming from or where they are heading, and they just appears in our head. That usually is also a result of a good connection between solar and lunar mind, and the connecting channel being able to actually give information or to manifest information. So definitely that is also true. So I'm not seeing any more questions on the topic. So I just wanted to kind of close the show today. That I do believe that today meditation is needed more than ever, and that for people who are going through occult or spiritual developments, and they want to train to be hermetic, or they want to train to be lodge members, or they want to, or sorcerers or magicians. And obviously for them this is pretty much a mandatory step, but also it's very important for a general public as well, because it helps to cope with all sorts of things that we now call the civilization problem. Loads of that can be truly sorted out with such a simple thing as meditation, but that's maybe the problem, that it's so simple. Sometimes we are having a hard time to understand or accept the fact that the solution sometimes is that simple. The solution is not some sort of DNA engineering. The solution is not being hooked on drugs for years. The solution is not the problem of this and that. Sometimes the solution is really that simple as meditating, and sometimes the simplest and best solutions are the ones that are the hardest to accept. So this is what I had for you for this week. I'm really hoping you enjoyed the show. I'm really hoping you had some ideas, and I'm really hoping that it maybe inspired somebody to try their meditation practice and to harvest the many let's say bonuses and advantages this whole thing comes with. And thank you so much for listening. Please, if you like the show, to hear it from the beginning, if you didn't have a time to catch it from the beginning, you can find it on the Mixcloud, the Spiritual Alchemy Show, the Lunar Lodge website, or the Lunar Lodge Facebook. So thank you so much, everybody. I'm really hoping you enjoyed the show. I'm going to hear you next week.